Hey, Living Word, and welcome to the Midweek Check-In. I'm here with Stacy, our executive pastor, and we're talking a little bit today about the law. I don't know about you, but here we are in Deuteronomy, and it's being reiterated again. The law reiterated again. And we were talking actually on Wednesday at Eden Connect. We're working our way through emotionally healthy spirituality, and we were pressing into this idea of Sabbath and how, of course, that's part of the law. And a couple of the ladies there were talking about, at least in my group, we break up into smaller groups, but at least in our group, actually we were in the same group, how they were feeling kind of overwhelmed with this idea, especially because if it's a law, then we need to do it. And that feels really, really hard, right?
Yeah. I mean, you think in the Old Testament, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, there's like over 600, something like that laws.
Yes.
So many. And really obscure ones, crazy, weird, like, why are we doing this?
On there?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot. One, I love laws, actually. I have to just confess that right now. I love order. Order, structure. Just give me a list of rules and I can check it off and say done. But of course we know that the Israelites could not follow all the laws, right? They just couldn't do it. And of course, we're no better because we can't follow them either.
I agree. I feel like to follow law just for the sake of following law can be really, really hard. I mean, we do it, right? Like we do the speed limit and we drive on the right side of the road and we turn on our blinkers and we do all that stuff. And without those laws, that would be a problem.
Yeah.
But I think in this context, when we're talking about things that God says, hey, this is for your best, it can't just come from checking a box and out of this place of like, I am going to grit hard and just follow the law. Instead, if we can look at it this way and we say, wow, based on what Jesus did for me and for you, he sacrificed, he gave his life for us, and I receive that, and that's full of just all this love and grace and awesomeness, then out of that, I now want to want to follow the law. I want to have Sabbath. I want to do that, right?
Yeah. Well, and one of the things I love in Deuteronomy, too, is that's where we find the Shema, which is that prayer that just carries all the way through the Bible of love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your strength. And when those laws become overwhelming, it's like, you know, if we can just focus in on that, bring it back into the heart, bring it back into the Jesus is always turning us to like what's inside, what's in your heart, that's what comes out. Right. So it's the same thing that you're saying, right? Yep. If we can focus into that love, into Christ, into the heart, and then move forward out of that,
and that's how we do it, right? That's how we do these things, or try to live our best lives before the Lord out of that. Yeah. It can't just be out of like checking boxes, right? Right. But yet there's places for checking boxes. I think about your job a lot, like your job, again, and we talked about, driving on the road. There's laws or rules that we do need to follow. Yeah. So how can, as we read through the Old Testament, how can we connect with what's being said? Because I don't know about you guys, but I do feel a major disconnect because of this idea of like, whoa, there's no way I could follow these 600 and some odd laws at all. Except for now, I mean, the ones that really apply to us and that where the Lord is like, hey, this is good for you. But how do we apply this to our everyday life? Because it's got to apply somewhere.
Yeah, well, for example, our business meeting coming up, right? So we have the business meeting. The reason we have a business meeting is because, one, the laws within our larger Foursquare church it's called Foursquare polity. There are laws that, who governs over whom and how does that all work? And one of those laws is that our congregation comes together once a year to appoint new council members, to look over the finances, to make sure everything's on the up and up, kind of have a check-in. Obviously, that law is good, right? If we never paid attention, if we never looked at kind of the internal workings of our church, that would not be good. You got to be looking inside. And so that's an example of something that seems kind of tedious, business, money. It's not the most glamorous topic that you can talk about in church, but it's good for our souls. It's like a framework underneath so that we can go out then and do the things that Jesus has called us to do. And in my case, I feel like Jesus has called me actually to help build this framework and, keep things going in that direction. So that's just one example. There's lots of things I think of you and, working out and strength and the disciplines and all that stuff that takes. A lot of those things are just they're not necessarily things that you wake up and go, this is what I want to do, but it's good for us. It helps us grow. It gives us a framework for moving forward.
Yeah, I do. I think of, as you're talking about that, I think of the idea, like you said, framework, structure, which then kind of makes me think of this idea of like rule of life even.
Yeah.
Which is in emotionally healthy spirituality. We talk about this idea of rule of life. And ultimately, that's just a framework that you base your life on to center around Christ and to live your life out of that.
Yeah.
It's so interesting how it kind of all plays together, and I think it just can be hard when we're in the Old Testament, we're in a book like Deuteronomy, and there can be this level of disconnect, but really we can connect to it. We can see. I mean, God was giving them these laws to give them structure, just like Foursquare gives us our rules and what we need to follow to give us structure.
Yeah.
And they can be really, really good, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great.
All right. Thank you so much for being here today. That was so fun to talk about this, because I feel like with law, it can just be really, really hard.
Yeah.
Make sure, you guys, if you have any questions or anything awesome that the Lord is showing you, whether it be through reading through scripture, through the Scripture app, or just anything out there in the world that God is doing, how He's moving in your life, we want to hear about it. So make sure you send me an email at shannon@livingwordoakharbor.com. We look forward to hearing from you, because we want to keep having these conversations.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right, you guys, we'll see you next week.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.